Morning, friends and neighbors. Friendly neighborhood old soldier coming at you on this Wednesday morning from Robeson County, North Carolina. We are just south of Cumberland County, North Carolina, south of the grand old town of Fayetteville. There's actually some other names for that town, but I don't want to offend anybody. It's not Fayetteville's fault, it's the government they got. They got a whole city council full of left-wing, loon-back, libtard communists that want the taxpayer, i.e. the property owners, to pay for all their little pet projects for the, gangbangers that are, running rampant on the street. Yeah. Article in the news in Fayetteville here recently. City Council passed an ordinance implementing a curfew for anyone under the age of, I believe it's 18. And, let me honk at my neighbors. And with that being said, all of a sudden, all these parents come out the woodworks.
We don't need no curfew. We need more things for him to do.
Okay, you're the parent, not the city. If the city don't have things for your kids to do, it's your job to find something for them to do, you dipsticks. Part of it is because there's been a ton of shootings in, well, not just Fayetteville. Robeson County is starting to look like the Old West itself. But in regards to Fayetteville, there's a fair number of shootings going on up there that have spilled over into this county. And with that being said, that's Fayetteville's solution, is to implement a curfew. My thing is this: if they're already out at those hours of the night, you're going to increase the size of your police force to implement and enforce this curfew? Don't think so, because a couple years ago, you, the City Council of Fayetteville, y'all got into the defund the police movement. A good majority of your council members were calling it defund the police, defund the police. Why? Because y'all felt y'all's police was racist and unfair. So, I'll put it to y'all this way up here in the Fayetteville City Council. Y'all can't have your cake and eat it too. Can't have your cake and eat it too. There has to be some measure of law and order. But there needs to be a large measure of personal accountability with the kids and their parents. Parents ain't involved. Passing your little stupid curfew is only going to clog the system even more. Don't believe me? Go ask Chicago. Oh, I said that out loud, didn't I? They got curfews. Yet they got more shootings per capita than any other city in the nation. They got strict gun laws in Illinois and the city of Chicago. Let the law-abiding citizens have handguns in Chicago. See how quick the crime rate drops. I'm just telling you like it is, boys and girls, girls and boys. Anywho, anyhow, anyways, for you, Brother Kyle. Yeah, I saw that. All these parents protesting. But I watch this news app, and I bounce back and forth between here and my home city of Chattanooga. A lot of the headlines on this news app are the same there as they are here. Like pets for adoption, crime wave in the city. Pick any city, and then compare the headlines to where you're at. Tell me they're in a big push. to warp the minds of America. And of course, North Carolina and Tennessee are both getting pushback on their parents' rights bills and the laws that they have passed that will not allow minors to get mutilation surgery. Yes, it's what it is. If little Johnny's born Johnny, then he's Johnny for the rest of his life. And if little Jane's born Jane, she's little Jane for the rest of her life. And no amount of plastic surgery is going to change that, other than an aesthetic appearance to some sick pervert. Because if they're not happy with how they were born, they got bigger issues, and mutilating themselves is not going to fix it. And there's many that have come out that have had the surgery that have regretted it and have started the process to try and go back to what they were born as best as they possibly can. Many of which have come out and stated they'll be on drugs the rest of their lives. Hormone drugs, mood drugs. I imagine some amount of pain drugs, painkillers. And then old Joe Biden supposedly didn't go to New York City for the 22nd anniversary of 9/11. He was on vacation, so he sent that goofball, cackling Kamala. One that sounds like a dying chicken every time she laughs. We all know got to the White House on her knees. You said that out loud, old soldier. They're gonna burn you. Let them. YouTube strikes this channel down today, I can give a rat's ass. Not safe for work, not safe for kids, you've been warned. Because YouTube, Stinkogram, Fart Book, they're all in it together to suppress free speech in this nation, unless you agree with their liberal policies and politics. Zuckerberg ought to be in prison for treason. And I'm still on the fence about the dude that owns Tesla and Starlink and Twitter. Well, whatever they're calling Twitter, X. What's his name? He's just a weirdo. Smart weirdo, but he's a weirdo. His name, believe it or not. Oh, Elon Musk. There we go. Yeah, that dude. I'm on the fence with him. I'll give him credit where credit's due. When he took over and bought out Twitter and basically reinstated a lot of people's accounts that had been deleted because the previous owners of Twitter felt that they had a right to suppress everybody's free speech. Okay. You know, they deemed certain speech as hate speech, but the reality of it is it was all one-sided. Not one libtard communist ever had their account deleted because of the rhetoric they spewed about conservatives, about God-loving Americans. You know, us Americans that wave the flag and proud of the red, white, and blue. And I love seeing city officials and town officials that, you know, that have to come out and support patriotic events because they're required to, but you can look on their face that they don't really want to be there. It doesn't fit their political narrative of oppression and suppression and things of that nature. So they play the game, but you can tell by their facial expressions. Oh, I'm in the mood again, folks. I'm in the mood. You see, I went to my doctor yesterday as a routine appointment, and I've told all of y'all before, I'm on opioid painkillers 3 times a day. I don't function very well without them due to the pain I'm in at times. And one of my pain medicines was out of stock again. Last time it was out of stock, it took them about 3 days after the prescription went in for it to to get it in stock and fill it. And why? The federal government, in all of its infinite wisdom, in order to curtail the opioid crisis in America, was to order the drug manufacturers to reduce the amount of opioid painkillers by 5%. And at this point in time, it has created a national shortage. But I bet you 10 to 1, if that crap stain that calls himself president needed it, they'd have it. And the reason I'm saying this, I'm not the only veteran out there that is suffering from something that they incurred in the line of service. I'm not saying veterans are the only one deserving this, but I'm using this as an example that, you know, many of them went and served and came home with debilitating wounds. Wounds that are still to this day extremely painful. Wounds that physical therapy, Motrin and aspirin are not going to alleviate. Okay? It's just a fact of life. But because lenient, libtard communist legislation has allowed the people that have abused these drugs to walk right back out on the street and go get more, and then when you deny them the prescription type, they go and get into illegal drugs such as heroin and fentanyl because of the opioid effects because those are opioids, because that effect, that high that it gives them. And then you've got cities like Seattle and Los Angeles and New York, Chicago and Philadelphia that are basically, you come in, turn in your dirty needles, we'll give you clean ones. And the dope heads and the fiends come in and they don't have that. They just give them clean needles. My daughter can't even take her son to the park up where she lives in Washington State for fear of my grandson stepping on God blessed dirty needles. And what's Washington's solution to it? Give them more freaking needles. Fentanyl. There's a police officer in Chattanooga here recently had a bag full of it thrown in his freaking face. Could have killed him. Where's this shit coming from? Joe Biden and his freaking open border policy. Spilling over that border like dadgum waterfall. And what are they doing about it? Not a damn thing. Who suffers for it? Me and you. God-fearing, law-abiding, tax-paying American. That's who's suffering for this bullshit. The worst part is these kids out here on the street getting hooked on that fentanyl and dying from it every damn day. Why? Because the dope dealers and the pushers get a slap on the wrist and thrown right back out on the street. Why? Because the prisons are overcrowded with people for bullshit convictions. And I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of lazy ass son bitches sitting in prison because they know they get 3 hots in a cot and the state's gonna pay for all their medical. And I've told you this story before, I'll tell you again. When I was a recruiter, they did a special in the area I was at on the sheriff's departments and the jails. And this one prisoner who was in the county jail was complaining because they hadn't got him to the state. While he was locked up in the county jail, he was going to incur a bill for all his medical treatment. He's a diabetic. Broke his parole on purpose so he could go back to state prison. Why? Because once he got to state prison, they were going to pay for all his medical needs. He had a warm place to sleep at night. Get 3 hots a day. Why? Because he didn't want to obey the freaking law. But he's going to complain that the local sheriff should have gotten him into the state jail. And the sheriff told him time and again, above and beyond my control. I don't control the state penitentiary. Sheriff, you got to get me out of here. I can't. I have nowhere to send you. Come on now. You can do something about it. You're the sheriff. No, he couldn't. He absolutely couldn't. Sick of it. But you got kids out here on the street blasting each other over the fentanyl trade. And I'm about to piss some people off right now. Think marijuana ought to be legalized? No, marijuana is a gateway drug. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. You just don't agree with me. But I've seen too many people start down that route and get into harder stuff. But I'll end that with this. If that's what you do on your own time, that's your own time. Just don't come around me when you're hiring a kite. Got no use for it. Just like you drink. Drink, that's on you. Don't come around me drunk. But you got kids out there blasting each other over that crap. Anyway, folks, you step off my soapbox and out the pulpit. Who am I to judge anything, huh? If we don't start stepping up and doing something, this nation's headed to hell in a handbag with a quickness. And it's on a freight train with no brakes. And I'll close with this. If you got a legislature that is anti-Second Amendment, give them hell, give them grief. Call them, protest them, call them out for the cowards that they are. If you got legislatures that, love these second chance programs for the dope dealers, the murderers, and the rapists, call them out. If you got legislatures that believe that pedophiles should be called minor attracted persons, call them out. Y'all be as safe as y'all possibly can out there. Stay vigilant. Keep your eyes open, your ear to the ground. Keep your head on a swivel. Until next time, soldier out.